here's a start of our little introduction to Lucky the RV. So first and foremost, coming into the driver's side here, you have your lights set here to the left. This is set on auto, so we tend to leave them there. It is a foot brake with your left foot, push that down. And the release is actually a handle back here. Make sure you don't pull in this area here because you'll see that some of them have a little bit of a pull here because people have pulled in the wrong spot. You do have an auxiliary start button there. That auxiliary start button is just in case of a precaution. If for some reason your truck battery has died, it will actually allow you to jump the battery from your house batteries that are in the back. So you do have a center console, and I'm going to start the car here. But you do have a center console that your GPS, your music, your rear view cameras, all of your things will be there. So hopefully when you pick it up, you have a full tank of gas. Then we're going to cycle through all of the vehicle things here. So we'll get your mileage that's listed there. And you'll see that it does say that there is a tire pressure fault. So I just want to tell you a little bit about that. First and foremost, we have 3 RVs that have tire pressure monitoring systems on them, and 3 RVs that have tire pressure monitoring systems that are not accurate. So you'll see that it has a dash here on the left showing you that there is no readings for the tire pressure monitor. And so we're just going to test and manually test our batteries with a gauge rather than trusting the tire pressure monitoring system. Coming to the center console, you have your Bluetooth. You can connect in settings. You're going to push the pairing button, and that's going to look for your thing on your phone in order to connect for Bluetooth. But if you wanted to see your map on this screen, you need to hardwire all the way to the right. And you'll see that when you turn your turn signals, how it has side view mirrors that show you pop-up things there. And when you put your truck into gear, it will show you out the back as well. Walking around the outside of your vehicle, this first cabinet here is your generator. The generator you actually operate inside the vehicle, and I'll show you how to do that inside. This next one here has your actual cable, and this is your electrical cabinet. You'll see that the other end of this electrical cord is hooked up to the RV. So when you go to hook up to the campground, you are going to plug this into the campground. You'll see that there is a surge protector here at a campground. You always want to plug your surge protector into the campground and then plug your electrical into it, because the power at campgrounds are not great. The next cabinet here, this is for your dumping. This is actually what goes into the ground in order to dump the vehicle. And then if you go to the back of the RV, your hose is actually in the bumper, and you pull it out. So this would be connected down here to dump your tanks. So you connect that there and this there, and then you'll see it says black holding tank and gray holding tank. When everything is connected, you would pull this black handle, and that would release all of the black water from the toilet into the dump area. Always close that back up, and then you can pull the gray handle, and the gray handle actually acts as a little bit of a rinsing out that icky hose, because it's basically from your soapy water from your sink and your shower water. You'll see this is where the gasoline goes in. It's just regular unleaded gasoline. This particular unit, if you went to slam in the gasoline nozzle, it won't normally stay locked. You do have to maybe pull it out about an inch in order to get it to lock. And your next cabinet here is all about water, which in this vehicle, there are a few special things. So if you look over here to the right, you'll see that these valves have little arrows on them. So this has an arrow pointing towards the 3. This has an arrow pointing towards the 5. And if you look at this little grid, it says 3 and 5, that's normal. So that's when you're not hooked up to anything at a campground. You're just using the water straight from the tank. So when you get to the campground, you would then turn this to 2 and 6. And then you would hook the water hose up to this location here for the city water connection. And that actually bypasses the water tank and puts water straight into the RV. One thing you want to be mindful of is it seems like there's always water leaking here, or leaking here at the valve, or water leaking at the campground. So sometimes we find it easier to use the freshwater tank and then to refill it rather than to see that dripping water. If you wanted to refill the freshwater tank, you'll see it says 1 and 6. So you would then turn that to 1, and that city fill tank. Again, you would put the hose into this location here, and that would go into the water tank. The one to the right here is actually your black tank flush. So what that is about every 2 or 3 times you dump the vehicle, you're going to want to hook up the hose to that black tank flush area here. And that sprays water on top of your black tank to make sure everything gets all cleaned out. There is a beautiful ladder on the back of an RV, but absolutely no reason to go onto the roof of the RV. For obvious reasons, it's just unsafe. Going into the back cabinet, that looks like there's a full-size table there and a chair. The next one, just some tie downs somebody must have left there. You have some outdoor cooking supplies. Your bench, because this step is a little bit high getting into the RV, so I've provided a step there to help you out. And then this is the propane. You'll see that it is at about 3/4. So most likely that will be what your propane will be when you get your RV. Here in Florida, they don't fill up the propane tanks because the propane does expand. So 2/3 or 3/4 is actually full here in Florida. These are just the backs of your refrigerator, so be careful there. And your outdoor TV. And that's about it on the outside. So the bulk of your operating stuff is up high by the door. So your generator, you would push the stop button until that red light flashes. Then you would push the start button until it starts. Right now we're connected to the shore power, so there's no reason for a generator. Then we have our slide here. You would just push the retract and extend. And these are your gauges. Now, unfortunately, gauges are notoriously wonky and they don't necessarily read the accurate levels. But right now, it shows you that the batteries for the house are about 1/3. Your fresh water is about 1/3. The black tank, it says 2/3. And the gray tank says full. So prior to your reservation, we will have manually verified that the tanks were emptied properly. Even the sensor may not ever read empty. Some soap scum or something might be on the sensor, or it could just be faulty and they're not necessarily something replaceable. You just have to kind of gauge it by, we just verify it for you. This tank heater, that's something that you would use in like the snow. Your water pump, I always leave that water pump on and see how it has a light that comes on up here. There is also a water pump button in the back cabinet. So if that's in the on position, this might be down, but that red light would still be on. So really you're looking at the red light. And then last but not least on this panel, you have the 2 different ways to heat water with the LP gas or electric. If you're hooked up to the campground, you would use the electric. And if not, then you would use the LP gas. There's another panel down here by the door. You have an exterior light. This is your awning. It goes in and out. With your awning itself, please be very careful. You never want to leave your awning open at all when it's unattended. Always make sure that if you're outside and enjoying the awning, leave it open. But if you come inside or leave the RV for any reason, please do close that awning because it is not able to withstand any wind and will get damaged quickly. We do have a speaker inside and outside button here. And that button will actually put speaker sound and music outside the RV. But when you get back in and you're driving down the road, you want to make sure you push it back to the inside. If not, you won't be able to hear your turn by turn in the RV itself. This main power button is something that you're going to leave on the entire time. And the second you turn this off, you lose power to the RV itself. So you want to leave that on. And then last but not least, we do have our electric leveler. The electric leveler, you need to have the truck on and the parking brake on up in the driver's area. And when you have both of those on, you can push this on button here. And then you're going to push the auto level button. And then it will kind of go while it's working. It takes about 5 minutes. And please make sure nobody's walking around and making it work extra hard. But it will level there. And then when you're all done, prior to leaving the campground, you're going to push that retract button. And that retract button, it does cause a big jerk and a loud noise. So just be mindful of that and just know that you didn't break anything. When you hook up to shore power or when you turn on the generator, I always tell people to watch the microwave. Because when the microwave turns on, you know that you have the right power to the RV itself. And that the RV is ready for you to use. So it takes about 30 seconds. There you go. So once everything turns on, all is well. So when you look at the nozzles here, you're going to push this in and turn it to that lighting position while you're clicking click over here at the same time. So you do both of them at the same time in order to turn on the gas stove. Let's see if I can show you here. So we're going to turn this to the light position and then use this dial here to the left. Sometimes it takes a click or two. Sometimes a different one wants to be lit. And sometimes the propane is not on at all, which there we go. So sometimes it takes a couple of tries there. And then you would turn it on here to the left in order to turn it on. Now the oven works the same way, but really all that you're lighting is a pilot light that's all the way under in the back here, just a little bitty light. So when you turn this to the light and click it on, it actually is going to light that blue pilot light. And then once you get that pilot light lit, then you can click this on and the whole oven will go loop. But the oven doesn't heat very easily. So just make sure there should be a glass dish up in the cabinet. It's nice to be able to kind of lift it up and look underneath and make sure you're not burning things. So the thermostats themselves are very simple. There's nothing really to them. You would just turn this to the low, to the cool, and then the air conditioning unit will turn on up above you. There are 2 air conditioning units, one that's mainly for the bedroom and one that's mainly for the living room. One thing you'll notice is there are these big vents on the side of the air conditioner. If you open these, the bulk of the air conditioning is going to come out right here. But if you close those, then the bulk of the air conditioning will come out all throughout all the vents that are throughout the RV itself. Coming into the bathroom, you will notice that there is a little bit of water in the bottom of the toilet. That actually helps you maintain a more clean smell rather than toilet smell, and keeps a water barrier between what's in the black tank itself. You go to flush, you put your foot on the pedal there, and then after you flush, you'll see it automatically puts water in there for you. Please only use the RV toilet paper that we provide. There should be plenty underneath the cabinet for you. And then after you dump, you would need to put one of these toilet tablets in the toilet with about a gallon of water or so. So there, you would put those in after you dump, and there should be them up down in the cabinet below. I'll make sure that gets filled. The shower itself, just make sure that you have it locked while you're driving. It does make a very loud, scary noise when it's slamming, opening, and closed. We do keep a broom and a Swiffer in there, and the shower kind of works pretty normal, with the hot and the cold. But remember that it takes a good 20 minutes or so before the water gets hot in order to take that hot shower. Up above the driver's area, there is a nice sized bed, but there are also some other important things up here. So first and foremost, you have your big shade that goes up in the front. It actually does go through the rear view mirror, but it goes all the way up to like here. And this sort of holds it in. So just the first time you do it, it does take a little bit of time to get it in there correctly. But it is very important because it gets very hot, almost like a greenhouse up in that area. And especially in the Florida summer, you want to keep the RV as cool as possible. So there is a big one for the front. Then there's two for the sides. They actually go on the outside and they're magnetic. We have a curtain, and the curtain has Velcro on it, and it goes Velcroed here throughout this here to give you some privacy from the up front area. Then we have this little net, and this little net seat buckles into the top up here, and then it clicks here, and that just provides a barrier, if you have a kid that might roll out of their bed, or if you have some stuff stored up in that area. It provides a good barrier to make sure that things don't fall out. You will see that there's a couple of cushions up here. These two driver seats and passenger seat totally turn around towards the back. There's a handle on this side, a handle on the front, and a handle on this side. And if all three of those are in the exact right location, you can turn it around. Again, it takes some trial and error before you can get it to work. But then you're basically sitting on the ground because there's this little step right there. So those cushions provide a little booster so that you could sit, with the rest of the guests. And then you'll also see the ladder up there. The ladder extends and gets put here in these brackets here. There's really not a good place in order to put for kids to kind of climb in the RV, so just be careful. And then this TV, you actually can pull it all the way out so that people can enjoy it from the front, from the back. It does pull out more. And there is a privacy curtain from up there, and you'll see some buttons here that actually operate this little moonroof in order to open and close that.